Three different crashes: 1929, the year 2000, 2008. Different decades, different people, different excuses, and the exact same five moves every single time. Like watching the same magic trick, knowing it's a trick, and still reaching for your wallet. Here's the part that should scare you. Right now, in 2026, the market is running the same five moves again. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to see all five on your own screen. So this isn't me predicting a crash. I can't ring that bell. Nobody can. This is me handing you the pattern. So the next time someone tells you this time is different, you'll know exactly which move you're standing in. Because that line is move number 3. Let me show you the trick. We start in 1929. Move 1 is always the same. Something real shows up. In the 1920s, it was electricity, radio, cars on every street, a genuine new world. Therefore, the story writes itself. The old rules don't apply anymore. Move 2, the money piles in. People start buying stocks with money they don't have, on borrowed credit called margin. By September 1929, those broker loans hit $8.5 billion, larger than all the cash circulating in the entire country. But it gets dumber. Companies, sitting on real profits, stopped building factories. Instead, they lent their cash into the stock casino because the casino paid better. When the businesses stop doing business to gamble on themselves, you are deep in move 2. Then came the trusts. Think of them as the index funds of their day, except stacked. A fund that owned a fund that owned a fund. Goldman Sachs built a pyramid of these in 1929. Their shares sold to the public for $104. Therefore, everyone wanted in. 3 years later, those same shares were worth about $1.75. And the regular people? They were told to pile in. 2 months before it all fell apart, a magazine ran an article with the headline, "Everybody ought to be rich." The pitch: just put a little into stocks every month and anyone can get wealthy. The average worker was making about $20 a week. But sure, everybody. Move 3 is my favorite because move 3 is words. The smartest man in America, Yale economist Irving Fisher, stands up on October 15, 1929, and says, quote, "Stock prices have reached what looks like a permanently high plateau." Permanently. 9 days later, the market started falling. It did not stop for almost 3 years. The Dow dropped 89%. 89. It did not get back to where it started until 1954. A 25-year wait just to break even. That's move 4 and 5. The cracks, then the collapse. And here's the detail nobody tells you. The man who tried to save the market that week, who marched onto the floor and bid for steel to stop the panic, his name was Richard Whitney. He later ran the New York Stock Exchange. Therefore, you'd assume he was a hero. In 1938, he went to Sing Sing prison for stealing. The face of the rescue was a thief. That's 1929. Hold those 5 moves in your head. Real thing, easy money, a magic story, cracks, collapse. Now watch it happen again 70 years later and watch how nobody noticed. The real new thing this time is the internet. Move 1, completely legit. Move 2, the money. Online brokers show up and suddenly your dentist is a day trader. But the story, move 3, is where it gets stupid. Analysts decided profits were old economy. They invented new ways to value companies. Price to eyeballs. Price to clicks. Not to money the business actually made, to clicks. So if your company's name ended in .com, the stock went vertical. One company called VA Linux went public and shot up almost 700% in a single day. It made no profit. There was a pet supply company called Pets.com. It spent more than $1 million on a single Super Bowl ad. Its entire revenue that year was about $600,000. Therefore, it spent twice everything it ever earned on one commercial. From going public to completely dead, 268 days. But here is the scarier version, and this is the one that matters for 2026. It wasn't just the junk companies. Cisco was real, profitable. For one moment in March 2000, it was the most valuable company on planet Earth. And its stock still fell about 88%. The company was fine. The price was insane. Remember that. A great company can still be a terrible bet. The Nasdaq dropped 78% and didn't recover for 15 years. And the warning? It came early, like it always does. Back in 1996, the head of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, warned about irrational exuberance. He was right. He was also more than 3 years too early. The market nearly tripled after he said it. Which brings me to the cruelest rule in this whole game. Being right too soon is the same as being wrong. The market can stay irrational a lot longer than you can stay solvent. So now you know the moves cold. Real thing, easy money, a magic story. Then the fall. Let me show you the worst one, because in 2008, the magic story had a body count. This time, the real thing was your house. And the story, move 3, was 4 little words that the entire financial system bet trillions on. Home prices never fall. Nationally, they never had, not since the Great Depression. Therefore, the banks built everything on top of that one assumption. They handed out loans called ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets. They didn't care if you could pay. Why wouldn't they care? Because of move 2, the machine. The bank sold your loan. It got chopped up, bundled with thousands of others, and stamped AAA, safest grade there is, by ratings agencies who got paid by the people selling it. How fake was that stamp? Of the mortgage bonds rated AAA in 2006, more than 70% were later downgraded to junk. The safest grade there is was a sticker. Then a company called AIG insured the whole pile without keeping any money set aside to cover it. When the loans went bad, AIG couldn't pay, and taxpayers handed it a rescue worth about $180 billion. Here is the single image that explains all of it. In his book, The Big Short, Michael Lewis describes a strawberry picker in California. This man earned $14,000 a year. He spoke no English, and he was loaned every penny to buy a house for $724,000. Nobody expected him to pay it back. He was just raw material for the machine. And of course, the smart, careful people in charge saw it coming. On March 28, 2007, the head of the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, told Congress, quote, "The problems in the subprime market seems likely to be contained." Contained. He said it at almost the exact peak. One man bet against it, Michael Burry. He saw the loans were going to detonate. He put his clients' money on a crash, and they were furious. They thought he was insane. They tried to pull their cash out for 2 straight years. Then it happened. He made them more than $700 million. Move 5. Lehman Brothers, a bank that survived the actual Great Depression, filed the biggest bankruptcy in American history. The stock market lost more than half its value. Around 9 million people lost their jobs, and somewhere between $11 and $19 trillion of household wealth just evaporated. That's the collapse. That's what's on the other side of "this time is different." So, 3 crashes. The same 5 moves. Real innovation, a flood of borrowed money, a story that says the old rules are dead, then cracks, then collapse. Now let me hand you the screen, 2026. The real new thing is artificial intelligence. Move 1, absolutely real. Move 2, the money is staggering. Big tech is spending around $725 billion on AI this year alone, up more than 60% in 12 months. But one analyst at Sequoia did the math. For that spending to make sense, AI needs to earn about $600 billion a year. It isn't close. The gap is the bet. And the borrowing? Margin debt, the same borrowed gambling money from 1929, just hit a record $1.4 trillion, up more than 50% in a year. Regular people are buying same-day stock options like lottery tickets, a kind of bet that was almost nothing 5 years ago and is now nearly half the market's options activity. The story, move 3, is already here too, that these 7 AI giants are different, that the normal rules of value don't apply. Those 7 companies are now about a third of the entire stock market. So your safe, diversified retirement fund is quietly a bet on a handful of AI names. And just like 2008, there's a quiet new corner where the risk is hiding. It's called private credit, lending that happens outside the normal banks, in the dark, lightly watched. It's ballooned past $2 trillion, and global regulators are already waving a flag about it. We never remember where the last fire started. How stretched is it? One simple gauge, the Buffett Indicator, is sitting near an all-time record, higher than 1929, higher than 2000. And in April of this year, the IMF, not a YouTuber, the International Monetary Fund itself, warned that these stretched AI valuations put ordinary retirement accounts at real risk of a sharp drop. So that's moves 1, 2, and 3. Confirmed. On your screen today. Now, real talk, because I will not lie to you. I do not know when or if this breaks. Nobody does. Greenspan was 3 years early. AI is genuinely world-changing, exactly like the internet was. But remember Cisco. The technology being real has never, not once, stopped the price from being a bubble. The realness is the trap. It's what makes the story believable enough for you to bet your future on it. This always ends the same way, because we are always the same. We forget. Economists have a name for it. Financial memory is short. Just long enough to forget the last time, right before we do it again. So, my real question for you, now that you can see the 5 moves, which one do you think we're in? Tell me in the comments. I read them. And do me one favor. Send this to the one friend who keeps telling you it's different this time. They need to see move 3 for what it is. If you want to spot the next one coming before it lands on you, subscribe. That's the whole job here, how people lose their money so you don't. Next time, I'm breaking down exactly who's quietly selling while everyone else is buying the top. See you then.